Yeah.
Okay.
So next.
Yeah.
Oh, it's there.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We'll move into our committee of the whole. 6.1 is planning committee, and I will pass the floor to our chair, Councillor St. Louis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Under planning, we have one item, which is the official plan final draft 6.1.1, and I will send it over to Mr. Pino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I won't belabor the point. I know that if you read the report, it gives a quick update and summary of what has occurred and where we currently are with the review and amendment of the official plan and the draft, I will say, of the official plan. So with that said, I know that there was some standing items and new or not new information, but information added to the plan. Pass this over to my colleague, Ms. Willett, to take us through.
Thank you. Through you. Yes. So the last time that the official plan was brought to council was when we brought I call it draft 8.1, where there were about 50 comments provided by provincial ministries that didn't have much of an impact on the plan or the applicability of it. Oh,
Speak
loud.
loud.
Yes. Okay. So majority of the comments we received didn't have any impact, so those were adopted into version 8.1. There were a few outstanding comments that council wanted to push back on, I'll say. So we did meet with MECP, MMH, and MNR to discuss those items. So those are, if you kind of look in the next steps part of the report, there's 6 changes, so those are numbers 1 through 5. And at the final agricultural meeting or the public meeting that we had in April, there was one change to the agricultural designation, so that's number 6. So at this point, we are looking for council's support with these last final changes. And if we're good to go with those, we'll get the official plan posted publicly on our website and with the intent of adopting it at the July 14th meeting. So I don't know. You just want to ask if there's any questions or if you'd like me to walk through each one.
Well, like, if there's any questions currently, but I think it was there, it wasn't best. If there's any questions right now, not people with items.
Good, thank you. So in the shoreline protection overlay, the ministry wanted to make it clear that the site-specific natural heritage protections, so setbacks from wetlands, EIS requirements, that sort of thing, were clearly identified in the shoreline protection overlay. We added in wording just saying that the natural heritage protections section set out in this plan, because we do already have a section that covers that section does still apply, just to make sure it's very clear that the shoreline protection overlay doesn't supersede those requirements.
Which page are you on?
Of the official plan.
Of the
The official plan, the shoreline protection overlay is on in the agenda package. It's page 63. No. Yes, it's page 63 of the agenda package, or page 44 of the
$44, you said?
it's 44 of the official plan document, but 63 of the agenda.
So it's on 40, so. Kind of on board.
Good.
Questions or comments?
Are we good?
Oh, sorry, Jerry, forgot.
So is it highlighted, the changes that we have?
So the staff report that was provided shows what the new regulations are, policies. But in this case, it would be 4.1E.
Questions? Okay. Aaron?
The next revision is to section 6.1 C in the official plan. This was the item that was
Page,
of the official plan. It would be
70.
page 57. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is on the agenda.
76.
76.
So in this section, we had initially said that there was a required setback for 20 meters from all water courses. The ministry came back asking us to revise it to 30 meters, and that was one of the items that we wanted to kind of push back on. So what's being proposed is, instead of saying this is the setback requirement that you have to stay outside of, it's instead, if you are building within the setback, you may be required to do an environmental impact study. So there is still an avenue for development within that area, provided that it can be demonstrated that there's no environmental impacts. That's kind of the middle ground that we're able to find on this item.
But then there's no defined,
Madam Mayor?
so then there's no defined setback.
So through you, there is still a defined setback. It's essentially, instead of it being a setback requirement that you must build at this distance, it's more of a buffer study area where if you're going to build within that distance, you may be required to do an environmental study.
Be required,
Yes,
under whose discretion?
that would be staff's discretion if we receive comments from provincial ministry when we circulate, if they're requesting it, planning advisory committee. It's generally to give us some flexibility in that area.
So currently it's 18 for us, correct?
That is correct.
So is it possible to maintain the 18? No, but sorry, let me rephrase. I understand the 30 and everything else, but nothing closer than 18 is what I'm getting at. So if may be up to the discretion of staff, but if somebody is at 10 and they do the study and they say it's okay, but us as a municipality, right now we have 18. Can we somehow write in there that no closer than 18?
So that would be set out in the zoning bylaw.
Okay.
So say someone did want to go down to 10, they would need to do this, potentially need to do this EIS, but they would also require a minor variance or zoning bylaw amendment because they still need to address the zoning requirements.
Thank you. Want to say that, Abby?
Thank you. But like conseiller said, we just said, the minimum is 18. Or the maximum, the closer you could be to a wetland is 18. Closer than that, you need an environmental assessment, or is it 30?
So the setback for water courses and wetlands where you would require a study or potentially require a study is 30 meters. Where you,
More than 30, you don't.
that's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Unless it's one of these other situations, because there is also increased distances from eventually significant wetlands, at capacity lakes, that sort of thing. But yes, it would be 30, you may require the study, 18 is where you'd end up in that minor variance zoning bylaw.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Has the wording that you're showing on final version 8, has that been shared with ministries?
It has not. When we had our discussion, we received very little clear direction, I'll say. So this is working within the guidance that we received. And this is what we have to send. Unfortunately, we don't have the turnaround time if we'd like to adopt it in July.
All right.
So, well, I just have concerns because the ministry came back, we said 18, the ministry came back and said 30. And we said push back a little bit, and now we're going to submit a document that has no defined setback whatsoever.
So through you, we did receive one comment from, I believe it was M&R, that in terms of the actual watercourse setback, we could make the decision if we wanted to pull the hard numbers out of the official plan. So we'll see later on where we've done that. But when it comes to the natural heritage features, these are provincial best practices outlined in the Natural Heritage Guide, so there really isn't some flexibility on these specific numbers. We're required to have these numbers in. We're just changing the wording. So instead of saying you can't build in this, it's saying that you may require a study if you want to build in this.
Okay. May I continue? The section C that you've written in, it says in accordance with 6.1B, environmental impact study or equivalent report may be required. And that with any distances or adjacent lands to provincially significant wetlands, ANSI, unevaluated wetlands. But B says that it shall not be permitted on adjacent lands unless the function has been evaluated. So if a EIS or equivalent report may be required, but the rest of the policy says you have to actually demonstrate that there, what other ways would there be to demonstrate that there is no negative impact if it's not through an EIS or another study?
So that's what it is. So essentially the reason it's written to say in accordance with 6.1B is that EIS or equivalent study needs to demonstrate what's set out in B, being that the ecological function's been evaluated and demonstrated there's no impacts.
But in this section C, by using the word may, that gives discretion. But when you get to 6.1B, it says that you have to demonstrate. So I'm asking if C is saying staff can decide whether or not an EIS or an equivalent report is required. But section 6.1.B says that there has to be the ecological function of the adjacent lands has been evaluated and has been demonstrated. So what other methods outside of an EIS would be used to evaluate and demonstrate that there would be no negative impacts?
So for example,
A is very discretionary, right? But then the other policy is not discretionary. The policy at 6.1 is you have to demonstrate, you must show. So how would one show that there is no negative impact on, say, a provincially significant wetland if they're like without an EIS?
so it's intended to read, and maybe I'm not seeing it the same way, that if we do require an EIS, what the EIS needs to prove is what's set out in B. So it's just kind of clarifying the intent and scope of what that EIS or equivalent study should demonstrate. The equivalent report, for example, if we're talking about a wetland or an unevaluated wetland, instead of being an environmental impact study, it may be that they need to do a wetland evaluation to determine if that wetland is anything significant.
I just find it's.
Councilor Pedre.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Along those same lines, because in A, no developments on provincial significant lands features is prohibited. So this would be like the Cache Bay area, right? That was in the last official plan, and they were really strict on this. There's no touching that. Fine. Then you go to 30 meters from a water course, including coastal wetlands and unevaluated wetlands. Like most of the wetlands are identified by MNR. I know I've got one on my land and I don't know how, but they know it's there. So we're not talking about the same. It's not too specific. Like we're talking about wetlands. It's not regular land. So the 30 meters will apply to all the land beside the water course, as I understand.
So it's a 30-meter buffer from watercourses and wetlands. And then when you have the PSW in Cache Bay, then it increases to 120 meters.
But in that, does it include, there's a regular land?
So we have provincial natural heritage mapping. So if you pulled up your property on the natural heritage mapping, you could put on the wetland layer and it would show you kind of the blob around where that wetland is on your property. And then you're looking at the distance 30 meters from the extent of that on their mapping.
Are we talking about wetlands or hazard land? There's a big difference.
Wetlands, not
Wetlands
floodplain.
identify as a really, really strict by Yemen. Hazard land is just like a flood zone, right?
Yes.
So it's not the same thing.
No.
So where then is there a buffer for this hazard land or regular land?
So for you, hazard land is covered in section 7.1.
Okay,
We have floodplains in a separate section. This is in the natural heritage section.
okay. And what's the setback in the other one? Sorry, John.
That is in 2 pages. If you want, I can skip to that, or if we want to wait until we get.
We're gonna get to it.
Okay,
Okay. Okay, sorry.
I'll get.
See that, Evan?
Thank you. So before, like was mentioned, was 18 meters, and now the MNR pushing to 30, but everyone that did build, let's say, or whatever they did to, on their property at 18 meters, now it changed 30 meters, they would be grandfathered in because they've already done, okay, just to clarify everything that it's moving forward.
That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this item? Let's move.
Yes.
Oh,
Sorry, sorry.
Councilor Yvette.
Thank you. What is a significant woodland and a valley land?
So that would be something that is defined, I believe it's in the provincial planning statement they define it. I just want to see if we define it in ours as well. So a woodland is treaty areas that provide environmental or economic benefit to both private landowner and the general public, such as erosion prevention, hydrological and nutrient cycling, provision of clean air, and the long-term storage of carbon, provision of wildlife habitat, outdoor recreational opportunities, and the sustainable harvest of a wide range of woodland products. Woodlands include treat areas, woodlots, or forested areas, and vary in their level of significance at the local, regional, and provincial levels. Woodlands may be delineated according to the Forestry Act definition or the province's ecological land classification system. So there's provincial mapping that identify where woodlands are.
Yeah.
A large part of our municipality is woodland. A lot of people have vacant land, which is entirely wooded at the moment. They may want to clear some of that and build. Would that preclude them from doing so?
I have an answer.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, according to the provincial policy statement, section 4.1, woodlands, are development site alteration shall not be permitted in significant woodlands in ecoregion 6E and 5E, or 6E and 7E, and we're 5. And so in the provincial policy statement, woodlands aren't actually defined as necessarily like no site alteration within significant woodlands. It's like, it does say significant wetlands in ecoregions were 5E. Significant wetlands as significant coastal wetlands are protected under provincial policy statement from any development or site alteration. But it only identifies woodlands as a total, no development or site alteration on woodlands in 6E and 7E, so it doesn't actually apply
To us.
to us. But, I mean, that's, you know, again, that the provincial, I don't know whether they must identify what they consider significant woodlands within their natural heritage mapping,
I believe so, yes.
even within ecoregion 5E.
I would have to check that, but if the PPS says that the significant woodlands don't apply to us, then it shouldn't be a concern.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
4.1. Thank you.
Councillor Bellamy.
Do you have any? In our municipality? Or overlay of this?
Sorry, I guess a mapping.
Of the
Mapping
woodlands.
of the woodlands?
So the province has an interactive map online. That's their natural heritage mapping, and that's the data source that we would use.
So do we have any in our municipality?
As Madam Mayor said, because the significant woodlands don't apply to our eco-region, we're essentially too far north for it to be protected.
So it wouldn't show, or would show, it's just we don't need to have policies to protect.
I believe it may show, but it wouldn't be applicable.
Councillor Bellamy.
Just a comment, I just wanted to come back to the wetland. Just for information purpose, I've got one on my property, it's maybe half the size of this room. And there's no bottom to it. All around is pure blue clay, it's like cement. I almost lost my back on there, so after we got it out, I put a hydro pole. And I went right down, there's no bottom. Yeah, and that's what the MNR called a wetland.
Maybe it came out in China.
It's like a sponge. Yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd share.
Okay, we'll move to the next item.
Sorry, yes, can I just summarize? So are you gonna take out the C4? No, yeah, C4, so the woodland valley land?
I will speak with our consultant because it doesn't really have an effect. It may be easier to get it through with it in there because that's one of the kind of standard requirements they have, but I'll chat with them to see if it would be worthwhile or if it might start a bigger discussion.
And where did we end up on the language on C? Because it still says may, like, so is it, are we requiring EISs within 120 meters of provincially significant wetlands and 30 meters from all? Like,
So we'd put it as may so that we do have that flexibility. If it's an area that's significantly developed, there's no indication of an actual natural heritage resource still kind of being there. At that point, we may not require it, but just to make sure that we do have some flexibility.
Good.
Thank you. The next one is section 6.2 in the, call it the preamble. So this was where we had originally said that development type and site alteration has a minimum 20-meter setback, and we received pushback from the province saying that it needed to say 30 meters. This was that item where when we had discussions with MNR, they said that if we wanted to pull the hard numbers out of the official plan, it was our decision. So instead of saying that we require a minimum 20-meter setback, we said shall be set back an appropriate distance. And then we will set out what that appropriate distance is through the zoning bylaw.
Questions or comments? We'll see that every.
Comment, just, so that leaves it to the municipality decide on where it's not 30, we could choose, it could be 18.
Yeah, so that allows us to put it in the zoning bylaw and we are the approval, or you are the approval authority for the zoning bylaw. It doesn't have to go to the ministry, so
Okay.
that gives us the flexibility there.
Thank you.
We'll move on.
Thank you. The next one is section 7.1.1 D. So we had initially said that development is permitted where the flood contour can be identified and you can demonstrate that there's a sufficient building envelope that's outside or above the flood contour. And if there isn't one, that you can raise it. The ministry pushed back on that, saying that provincial planning statement does not encourage development within the hazard plane. And further discussion, we did discuss where there was flexibility and kind of provided a bit more background on the fact that we don't really have the best floodplain mapping, so that this is kind of our practice, and I'll explain it a bit more. So now we've moved to say that development is permitted where sufficient building envelope and safe ingress egress can be demonstrated without modifying the grade, and that flood contour needs to be confirmed by an Ontario land surveyor. So it just reflects our practice right now a bit more and ensures that when we do have development that's within that identified hazard overlay, that it is confirmed by a professional to be at a safe level. And it's no longer just making sure that the building itself is safe, but that there is safe ingress egress from the site. So in a flood event, the residents can safely escape.
Perfect. Questions or comments? Good. Next.
Thank you. So this is section 8.2.4B. We had initially said that in the official plan itself, it is on page 76. I don't know which page that is in the agenda.
95.
So in the previous version, we had said that new waterfront lots are intended to be 1 hectare in minimum area, but can be permitted to a minimum of 0.4, provided adequate servicing ability is demonstrated. The ministry from BCP pushed back saying that hydrogeological study is required for lots under 1 hectare. This was something that we discussed. We're advised that there are some instances where they've gone to 0.8. And that is what we have proposed in the zoning bylaw draft. So we reduced it to the 0.8 and then tried to put in a bit more flexibility into the language. So we had originally said just that adequate servicing ability be demonstrated. They wanted it to say that a hydrogeological study is required, and that study can be quite costly. So we've revised it to say that new lots shall generally be a minimum of 0.8 hectares, unless a smaller lot size can be supported by technical information pertaining to the physical characteristics and hydrogeology of the site. The requirement for a hydroge or other such technical report may be waived where the proposed water supply will be treated lake source water, you're creating less than 3 undersized lots, or where the proposed development will not generate more than 4,500 liters a day of sewage. So this was through looking at other official plans in the area that had such exemptions for when you're creating a certain number of lots. When you're using a water supply from the lake, it's not as much of a concern because you're not concerned about any infiltration into the groundwater. And the 4,500 liters a day of sewage aligns with the provincial guidelines as well. So it just gives us a bit more flexibility where instead of requiring a full hydrogeological study, we can require something reduced or fully exempt them from that requirements when there's not a concern.
Questions or comments? Madam Mayor?
So what says that somebody couldn't say that they're going to use the treated lake source water supply to get out of doing the hydrogeological study, then going back and doing a drilled or dug well?
That could be something that was considered. What I can do is I can reach out. I think it was Elliott Lake. I would have to go back and check which official plan that was in. I can see kind of what their procedure is with that.
Yeah, because it's a bit of just as a, and then less than 3 undersized lots are being created, so that's 2. If you're looking at consent severances, 2 severances plus retained. Question, like, why are we not saying 2 or less, or like? It's not 3 or less, it's less than 3. So less than 3 is 2.
We can certainly change that.
Oh, I like, cause I found
That's
it.
what I've typed.
Okay,
Yeah.
and is the 45, where the proposed development will not generate more than 4,500 liters a day of sewage, is that per lot?
That's for the proposed development. So in an instance where you're creating, let's say 2 lots and they're going to be for single detached dwellings, it would be the cumulative expected sewage from both of those lots.
Okay, but not if it was 2 new two new lots, not the retained doesn't count on that. You know what I'm?
Yep.
Okay, so it's not a lot, it's overall,
That's correct, yeah.
okay. Okay, so if they were wanting to do I'm sorry, I just want to be clear. If they were wanting to do two consent severances, but they wanted, the development was going, both of those were going to be more, like the combined total was going to be more than the 4,500, then a hydro G would be required.
A hydro G or another technical
Or-
report, some form of scoped hydrogeological studies.
Okay, I was just trying to be clear on.
Yeah.
Councilor Fedra.
Thank you. Sure. Just can you remind me what 4,500 liters per day size house is that generally?
I've-
Looking at you, Councilor. Very large. Large, okay. And just to touch on Madam Mayor's point on the well, I'm not sure, but do you not need a building permit if you want to drill a well? And that, wouldn't that be caught at that stage? No. Oh, you don't need a build, okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll move on, please.
And the final revision from the previous version was a discussion that came out of the May special public council meeting for the agricultural designation on Rainville Road. In the May version, we had previously reduced the agricultural designation to remove the southern part of these lots that you can see in your staff report, which is page 17 of the agenda. And then at the May 28th meeting, there was further discussion to remove the agricultural designation from the entirety of these properties all the way up to the south side of Rainville Road. So you can see in your staff report kind of where that line has now shifted. Confirmation on proceeding with it as provided.
Questions or comments? Madam Mayor.
Well, I'm still not in favor of removing that whole block because we had a significant discussion in April. Where we went through it, all the maps at that time had been reviewed by our agricultural advisory committee. There had been submissions on the OFA of the agricultural mapping. Property is tile drain, the property is a municipal drain, and the property is benefiting from the 25% farm tax. So it's an active agricultural operation. And we had a pretty significant discussion in April where we come to the consensus that the sections off of Poirier Road could be removed because that was largely rock. Where I do still feel that the rest of the property, under all of the other policies that we've looked at in determining mapping for the entire official plan that affects multiple property owners, fits well within what we've expected from the other property owners who are being impacted by the agricultural designation. So I would be in favor of sticking with the May 2026 map, which was discussed by council in April.
Thank you. Councilor Levy.
English question, I don't know who would answer this for me, is when a farmer applies for tiling his farm, is there grants allowed for this? So there's money comes in from the government to, I was in favor of the gentleman, he owns his land, he wants to change it, see it. But if there's money coming in from the government to allow tiling and then not wanting to have it as a farming, that's kind of hard to say to do. If that farm would not be tiled, then I'd say, yes, definitely move it. So, yeah, that's between the rock and a hard place.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Councilor Fedra.
All I'll say is, I'm looking at the land again and it's more than half is rock. And it doesn't mean that if we take it out of the agricultural designation, that it's gonna be turned into a subdivision. Probably most of it will continue to be farmed.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none? Okay. So we'll move forward. So Madam Mayor, are you asking for us as council to make a decision, or do you need council to make a decision to move forward with the May 26th or the June 26th?
Well, then the next steps on the page, I mean,
Oh, so I guess well,
just wonder if you might want to confirm with.
well, that's what I was gonna do, but my understanding is everybody seems to be on board with the amount of questions and with from 1 to 5, but there's only been one real opposition, which was in 6. That's what I'm thinking, but so if you have anything else to add, Ms. Willett, please go ahead. Then we'll move forward.
Yes, so at this time, it's just looking for clarification on if we're proceeding with the June or the May version. As was previously said, there was a discussion about this in April as well as in May. The property owner had provided additional information that demonstrated that it was class 3 DW soil, but indicated that the agricultural designation could result in severing access to some of the fields, and that the tiling that was there was in the early 80s. But I do know that there's been some recent investments in the drain improvement, or some in the works. So there's a couple different factors going on there.
I'll say that again.
Question again. Is the person that owns the land now, is he the one that had it tiled in the 80s?
He does not know.
No, it's not. Okay. Oh, that simplifies it.
Other comments? Nothing? Okay, so staff is looking for directions on moving forward, excuse me, with the 6 items that were provided to us. So with, I guess, a show of hands, is everybody fine with having staff move forward with 1 to 5? Is everybody in favor? So if you look at the next steps, shoreline protection, natural heritage, water, floodplains, waterfront lot creation.
Okay.
So if everybody is in favor with the show of hands of moving forward and having staff move forward with that for the official plan, that's carried. And for number 6, the agricultural designation on Rainville Road, with the show of hands, do staff want to move forward with the May 2026 recommendation that we had, or with the new June 26 recommendation of the removal? For me? Well, it doesn't say second, it says June 2026.
Oh, 20.
So with the show of hands, so who would like to move forward with the new June 2026? Which is the whole area being turned into, being removed from agricultural. 1, 2. Okay, that's defeated then. Oh, sorry, 3? 3? Yeah, I had her. So for the rest, you want to return to the May 26th of what we had before, just a show of hands, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Is that good enough?
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Okay, back to you, Madam Mayor. I believe that's it for planning.
Okay, next up, we have our Economic Development Committee. And I will pass the floor to our chair, Councillor Ferrer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item today, which is an update on the real site, Russell Road site. So I will pass it to Supino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you can see, Ms. Gerard has prepared a fairly comprehensive, I will say, update on both of these projects. Providing some background, obviously the project overview, costs to date, funding sources, the current status and potential next steps in both the Weyerhaeuser former mill development and the Corsell Road development project. So as you can see, there's a pretty decent update, and good snapshot of exactly what has occurred, where we started, where we currently are, and what we're projected to do with regards to potential costs and next steps. And some information with regards to what the potential costs will be and what the ECDev budget allotted for. So I don't know if there are any specific questions on any of those pieces, but in a nutshell, on the former mill site, we are continuing with some additional borehole assessment in specific areas. There is a recommendation to perhaps look at a phased development approach as detailed in the report. And certainly from a perspective of the Corsall Road project, just update of exactly what is occurring on that with regards to the environmental assessments, costs, and projected activity. So I'll leave it back to you, Mr. Chair, if there are any questions.
You, on that figure one, page 135. It says that the shaded area identified, is that like the green, blue and orange needs to go to a supplemental phase 2? A check?
Mr. Chair, that's correct. In the other section along the river that's grayed out, that doesn't have color, is what is earmarked for parkland. That is something that we will look after we've identified remediation costs relating to the blue part, which is commercial, and the orange part, which is residential. So further environmental testing is required for both the commercial and residential portions.
And on both sides of the highway also?
Correct.
Thank you very much.
That's me. Funny is, then spelled the stem up to now without the grants.
So in the first page of the staff report is highlighted there. If you look at funding sources, the federal Green Municipal Fund has contributed 119,000, FedNor 50,000, and the municipality has so far contributed $190,000 to the work that's been done to date.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I guess one question I had before my comments on the report would be that blue section, you know, I remember the initial one had parkland going the entire way of the river to the highway. Just because we continue our phase 2 on that section that used to be deemed as parkland, does that mean it can never be parkland after? No, or does this just mean we would know a little more how much it would cost to turn it into parkland for the remediation?
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I understand the question correctly, can we revert that section back to parkland? Yes. If we were to, there's a problematic area there that needs to require further testing. We're also doing a biological assessment along the river as well, which was recommended by our environmental engineer. So can we revert back? Absolutely. What happens is when you proceed with commercial or retail development on brownfield, you don't require a record of site condition. So developing that blue area is much different than developing residential, and the most sensitive use is parkland. So we're going to continue on with that blue section, but it's still in the plan unless council changes to have the entire site connected from Front Street down to Cache Bay Road for walking trails or parkland.
Awesome, thank you. And then I just wanted to touch on the cost and such as well. It's pretty neat. It's about 440,000 total, but it only cost the municipality about 270,000 to get to this stage for both properties. I'm combining both properties, the Corsall Road as well. And these types of things need to happen, right? The investment, otherwise it'll never move forward. So it's real exciting to see. I know it seems like a long time. I think we started this our first year on the ECDev committee, and now we're reaching the end of our term, but it is nice to know that we're almost done these phase twos. And then once you do that, then you have a better idea of how much more money you have to spend or how much more work has to go into it before you can actually come to fruition. But without doing this step, it'll never go anywhere. So I just want people to remember that it seems like it takes time or a lot of money, but it will pay dividends in the end. I really believe that. So thanks for working hard for the grants too, because it alleviates the pressure on the budget.
Thanks. I'll kind of piggyback off of Councillor Rivard, if I can. It's good to see us getting near the end of the testing phase. And I think really, although there are a couple of problematic areas that they still have to examine overall, what was discovered was, I think, better than what we had expected, because you never know with brownfield sites exactly what you're going to be getting into. We've spoken at length during different discussions about that kind of phased approach to development and getting some pieces of land ready, getting those gone, and then being able to reinvest the money back into whether it's infrastructure or whether it's the further testing or remediation to minimize the impact of the development. The goal long term is to have this as usable community space, and as Councillor Rivard said, what we've invested as a municipality so far is quite minor when you consider that there's the total site is 27 acres, and even if you just look at the residential and commercial that's blocked off there, you're probably looking at 20 acres of urban serviced, what will be urban service municipal land. So there's great value in that. And then when you look at development, the ongoing taxation revenues from that are huge as well. And then the other thing to mention, of course, is that with the rebuild or the brand new Champlain Bridge that will be getting hopefully next year, as long as the timelines keep moving along, that whole corridor is set to be completely refreshed. So yeah, and again, good work to the staff on getting the grants to get us here thus far, and so it's very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So for the coastal property, once we've done the supplemental phase 2, does that mean that property is technically ready for sell?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the supplemental site assessment will determine the level of remediation required. We don't anticipate anything significant. They found high levels of sodium on the site, so they wanted to do a couple other test sites. And we will bring those results back to council. We'll have a better idea of remediation cost as well. And then there'll be logistics as far as discussion, as far as council will have options. So the council can decide to sell it with the phase 2 final report and the remediation cost to developer that's willing to undertake that. Council can then consider to do the remediation cost and sell it development ready. And then we'll have to look at municipal infrastructure to connect that site and also access to the site off Courseulles. There'll be consultation with OBR, I guess, with the rail line next to it. So there's a bit more work to be done, but we're getting that much closer to have that site development ready for residential development.
Thank you very much.
If I could just ask a follow-up question to that. So with sodium, generally, what's the remedial work that's required? Do they need to kind of scrape the top layer of soil?
Yeah, without getting too technical, because I'm obviously not an expert on that, but from our discussions, sodium is not significant remediation. You don't have to go too deep, especially if you're doing residential. It's not the most sensitive use. So I think that we're not expecting some significant costs and work to get the site development ready. Yeah.
That's about it. Mr. Chair, I'm just curious, north of the Cashbury Road, the Toulouse Crescent, did they have to do the same testing as the mill site, south side, because it was all one piece at one time?
Very
Thank
good
you.
question.
Overcourt.
Dover Court? The new
Oh,
Dover
you
Court?
mean, oh, the Dover Court, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
I think Madam Clerk would have that.
Yes, there was, the studies were carried out and they did get a record of site condition.
well, I guess at the time, Mr. Toulouse had to do that. Thank you.
It's where they had the chips,
Right.
storage.
Any other questions?
Okay, yeah, I'd just like to thank staff for all the work that's gone in. I know it's taken a long time, but there's a lot of work in the background and a lot of the work I understand cannot be done in the winter. Which needs a longer, but I think we're as pointed out, I think we can see light at the end of the tunnel and hopefully next term count we'll see a lot of progress and we'll end up with properties that we'll be quite proud of. So thanks again.
This, I'll pass it back to you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. We will move for recess now at 8:01 or 8 o'clock. I know Chris likes to do it. Councillor Rivard, Councillor Gagne.
Moved by Councillor Rivard and seconded by Councillor Gagne. At 8:02 PM, a motion was. I'm gonna recess.
All in favor? Carried, thank you. Welcome back to, after our brief recess, we're still in committee of the whole. 6.4 community services, I'll pass the floor to Chair Councillor Rivard.
I'll skip 6.3 public works.
Oh, sorry. Let me step back. We'll go to 6.3 and I'll pass the floor to our Chair, Councillor Gagné.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
We have two items on the agenda, 6.3, which is bridge update, so I'll pass it to Mr. Pillon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Two similar items. We'll start with the Duke Road Bridge. As you all know, this is according to staff, a bridge of unknown age that has been around for quite some time, obviously. We've had several sort of structural evaluations, regular OSIM inspections, and they've come back not too bad, but we've had some previous damage to the actual structure, inverter structure of it at some point through some collisions in the past. And as you well know, through the significant flooding event that occurred this past spring, there was a very extremely large buildup of, I will say, rubbish and debris for several weeks that put some significant pressure on this particular bridge. So we actually closed it just for safety reasons to make sure that there weren't any incidences, and we've kept it closed since just to be cautious. And staff has recommended, our director of infrastructure has recommended that we do a full structural evaluation of the bridge at some point. And of course, this is not a budgeted item. We're looking for some potential for some further direction from council and some consideration potentially through budgeting either in year now or in future year. And I know that there are some updates on some of this report, so I will hand this back to my colleague, Mrs. Henning, and she's more than capable of running through what's going on with Leduc.
So some good news on this bridge. Seems like it's almost indestructible. We went out yesterday and were able to take a look. The water is finally receded, so we were able to see the abutments, and they appear to be in fairly good shape. That was a large fear that we had, was that the structure was actually going to get pushed right off the abutments, or that there would be some really significant erosion there with the water levels. But there doesn't appear to be any significant erosion or damage to the abutments, or any serious damage to we haven't been able to go completely under the bridge yet and inspect. We do know there are a few logs still hung up in there, but the bridge deck looks like it's in great shape. It's a concrete deck. There's no cracks, so that's a good sign. So because of this, there is still the damage to the trusses, which we had noted in 2024, and we will need to deal with at some point. But because the abutments appear to be in good condition, we did reopen the bridge this afternoon. We have reopened it load posted at 5 tons. So nothing really bigger than a pickup truck should be going across this bridge until we get a full structural assessment. But my hope is that we can budget for that structural assessment in our 2027 budget and look at proceeding with repairs from there. And in the meantime, that bridge is open for, regular commuters who might be using that road. Is any questions?
Okay, any questions for Ms. Henning? Sorry. Councillor Lagami.
Thank you. Mr. Gagné, Councilor Gagné. Yeah, that bridge, good news, thank you. It's, people were really anxious about this, what's gonna happen when, and people realized because they saw all the debris back there. So, that's definitely good news. If we have to invest in our bridges, which we've got quite a few bridges in West Nipissing, one thing that I've sat at this desk for many years now, and that's one thing that we don't go to the ministry and ask them for funding for our infrastructure in the bridges. Like we did for Champlain Bridge, fine, but we don't do for the smaller ones like McDonald Bridge that we've done. And so I think this is something that we should lobby our government to help us with all these infrastructure, because we do have a lot of bridges and it's costly. But, I think the government should be made aware of our need. Because those bridges, eventually needs to be repaired or replaced. And, just like the next item we got, I've asked this, a month or so ago to go to AMO to ask for the ministry to help us with this, and that was approved by council. So maybe we could add this to our delegation. Hopefully, the ministry will allow us a delegation. So we could add the bridges to our ask from the government. So hopefully this AMO conference that we will attend, hopefully we can be successful to talk to the minister.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Larrabee. Any other questions or comments, Madam Mayor?
If it says here structural assessments needs to happen. And in 2024, it was estimated at 40,000.
Yes,
So we're gonna assume it's 50 by now.
at least.
We're a little early in the year to know where we're gonna end up on our capital, total capital projects for our public works. Like you can't project at this point because we're only at the very beginning of construction season. But is there a possibility, because I know some of our projects have come in under budget, so within the capital budget, given the what the estimates have come in at, is there a possibility that we may have a bit of a surplus that we could go forward with this year, or is it something you'd recommend assessing during budget for 2027?
I think it's really hard to say at this point where we're gonna come in on all of our construction. There's still some concerns about, possible fuel surcharges and that type of thing. We're in a very volatile climate. So I would recommend that we just hold on to this one for 2027. I don't think there's any real need for this bridge to be open to like larger traffic. There are alternative routes on both sides. So I think that the compromise of having the load posted should hopefully satisfy the majority of users for this season.
I have one more question.
Yes, go ahead, Madam Mayor.
Through you. And through Sandy. At a 5-ton load restriction, where do school buses fall within that? Like, would a school bus meet the 5-ton load restriction?
A school bus would be above, I believe.
Yeah, those school buses,
So I'm not sure. It's been closed for a while, so I'm assuming the school buses either don't cross that bridge or.
Or do?
Right now, they're going around.
Okay, I just wasn't sure whether it was a route for the school buses or.
Yeah, I'm unsure.
Not
if the school
previously
buses-
restricted at 5,000,
Was it load?
It's a 5 tons is what it's.
5 tons?
Yeah.
5 tons. It was previously load restricted.
It was previously load restricted.
Okay,
Right back.
thank you. The load
Sorry.
restriction has not changed since.
No, it is not. We load restricted it in 2024 when the damage was first brought to us.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Larrabee.
Thank you again. Yeah, there was even a bar welded on top to prevent the big trucks from going in. Because it was damaged years ago before the amalgamation. And it was a fuel truck that went through. So they said no more of the heavy equipment. So they put a bar there. On the preventive side of it, when we see in the springtime that there's log jams on the bridge, could we just go in like a person like myself, got a skidder, pull them out? Like, would that be a possibility? I know you're not supposed to play in water, but it's not like a log jam or a log drive. It's just to remove it to prevent situation like we're being faced with now.
So we certainly, we actually had those types of conversations when we were looking at the log jam while it was sitting there. And it's problematic because there was flooding kind of on either side of the bridge. So it was would have been challenging to get to that log jam. And then the flows are very high at that time. The water levels are variable. So there's a lot of risk to doing that, like to whoever is doing that work. So it's something that I think would be very challenging to do.
And if I may, it's not a critical structure, right? As indicated, there are access from either side. So we're not landlocking, there's no landlocked
No.
properties, it's a short in essence, so less critical a structure, I will say, from a perspective of access. So we wouldn't necessarily endeavor in those types of operations because they're pretty risky, and I think they would be costly as well. You know, we'd have to have float equipment out there if we were to do. I mean, from our perspective, that would be a pretty risky endeavor.
It would be risky work. But I'm respect.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you. We'll move on to the next item, which is Donovan Bridge update. Back to you, Mr. Keel.
So on that item, we're good with holding off till 2027 and looking at further options then. So along the same lines, the Denonville Bridge, this is a long outstanding item, and this is a more critical structure in that it does, there is only one, I will say, access to specific properties on the north side of the river. As detailed in the report, we had committed to the Denonville Group to look at all options, including potentially some right-of-way access through adjacent properties through some agreements. And I can report that I did have those conversations and that is not something that those adjacent property owners were interested in entertaining. So we find ourselves right back into a situation where we need to make a decision with regards to this particular bridge, whether there are decisions or whether there are decisions of budgeting. But we are looking, I think the ultimate option now would be to really do a full engineering assessment and consultation on this piece to see exactly what the scope of work would be so that we can establish a true cost of what it would cost to fix the abutments, which is really what the problem is now. I will say the underlying problem. More globally, this bridge will need a full replacement in, I'm going to say, the next 5 to 10 years. So that comes at a significant cost as well into 7 figures. And potential remediation of the abutments could be very costly as well, but we would necessarily need expert engineering, consulting, geotechnical work to occur, get a real true scope of the work. And it's estimated at, as you see in the report, well over $100,000. And I will hand this off to Mrs. Sang for any further comment if you
Unfortunately, I don't really have anything to add. I think you summed that up quite well. This would be another thing that ultimately I think we could look at in our 2027 budget if council wants to reconsider looking at a structural engineering assessment and design at that time.
Thank you. We'll open up the questions or comments. We'll see you back.
Thank you, Chair. That's exactly what this is what I was saying we should be doing when we last discussed it last summer. I think it was July or August. That we're in the dark about how much work has to go into that. We're in the dark about how much it will cost. And until we have that, the structural assessment and the engineering design, we don't. What decision are we to make? And then we discussed it again at our budget meeting in December, and I think it was pretty much everyone was in favor of moving forward with this if no other options could be explored, such as overland through the neighboring properties. And so here we are, we're a year later, and now we're talking about budget 2027. I think, it's like it or not, it's a major piece of infrastructure, and we owe it to the residents to know what the score is. And we won't know that until we do this assessment.
Thank you, Councilor Lagabi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Totally in support of the recommendation that Councilor Farrar just said. That we need to know what it costs. As CEO mentioned at first, the most serious that needs to be addressed now is the abutment. The rest of it could be to asking the government, our conferences, if they could help with this. The abutment, we have a local contractor that went to look. He was not hired to do this. He was asked by the landowners, what he would charge to replace the abutment. And just the abutment, the contractor said $171,000 to change the abutment. If this is what it's seriously we have to look at, this is what we could have it for, and have it done. Now we have an engineer, a contractor. That's what he does for a living. He said to all the specs that were laid out on a piece of paper, what was wrong completely with the bridge, 292,000 would all be done, the abutment and the bridge. So if we could have it for that price, instead of, and we have, then after we have the time to lobby the government to have funds to help with all of our bridges. So this, I would recommend at least what the Conseiller Farrar said. We need to know what it costs, but we do know what it would cost to repair the abutment. If the contractor is willing to do it, like when we did it, there's $171,000. Then the bridge, you could leave it posted, but at least you know that the bridge would not it would be secure.
Thank you, Councilor Lagabi. Any other questions, comments? We'll see if that.
On the same note, I remember when we went to visit the bridge with Monsieur Legault. I wonder if it's possible to have the engineer that's gonna assess the bridge meet with Mr. Bélanger, like you say, which is an engineer, and that's what they do for a living. At the time when we saw him, Mr. Bélanger said that he even has second structure, that bridge. It's a special bridge, but he's got a second structure that could go, which would double the strength of the bridge. So I'm hoping that whoever the consultant we hire to do this can work with Monsieur Bélanger, who has the expertise too. And he's got the sections of bridge that he can put on that bridge to reinforce it. He's got it in his yard. It's an old bridge, but he's got it. So let's not reinvent the wheel. If they can do it, it would be nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Monsieur Pilon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to be clear that appreciate the information about what you think and what Monsieur Bélanger thinks and whoever else thinks this would cost to build. This still has to undergo a structural engineer report and review. Our procurement policy is really quite detailed with respect to we don't appoint specific contracts like this to specific contractors. So, I mean, the point of, just to call a point of order on this piece and appreciate the information, but at the end of the day, we really don't know what we don't know. So Mrs. Henning has prepared a solid report on this piece detailing what the potential cost for an engineering report would sort of come in at. That really is the next step before we start talking about any other opinions out there with regards to how much it would cost to fix the bridge, replace the bridge, and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to put that on the record and make that clear to council that that is the process that we are looking at. And that's the direction that we'll be seeking with respect to moving forward on this bridge.
We'll see if I can.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm also pleased to hear that we're looking at an amount of 100,000 because I think when we discussed it in December, the amount that was being suggested was I think 150 to 180. So if it's more towards the 100,000, I'd like to now put a suggestion on the table right now that we go ahead with this assessment and engineering design.
Madam Mayor,
Great suggestion. We just need to figure out how we fund that. If you want to do it now, then we would have to find the money somewhere. It's not, it's out of budget. And so, on a $40,000 assessment for Leduc, we don't know that we have surplus at this point. So whether that is through reserve funding or some other kind of funding, we'd have to determine if we do want to move forward with this now, where that would be funded from.
thank you.
Just
I'll see if I can-
I'm not sure how long these studies take, but is it possible that it will stretch? If it started in 2026, will it spill over in 2027? And can the cost be allocated over 2 years instead? And that maybe that would make it possible to start now.
And to be clear, my memo, I did say would likely exceed $100,000. So, okay, just, I would be very surprised if we could get this work done for only $100,000.
I'll see you, Restable.
For you, Mr. Chair, I agree with our CEO's comments. There's procurement, there's other things in all of what we do here, not just bridges in this particular instance, but when we have repairs all over. We have a bunch of contracts that are out for people to get on. And I don't think it's the right move to start, picking people or individuals or companies to do work without opportunity for others, because I know that would definitely come back on our plates. Question, if we're doing this assessment, generally, how long would that be valid for? Like, is there a certain amount of time that these things, and I ask just because 100,000 is a commitment that doesn't really get us anything in terms of the structural repair. There's still going to be a lot bigger tab to pay with whatever comes forward with this if we are going to move ahead, and that won't happen this term. That's going to be something for the next budget cycle for sure, because if we are looking at 40,000, 100,000, who knows, even if it is 290,000 that it comes in at, we don't have that in this budget, right? We're done. So I'm just curious if we do go ahead, and I don't even know how we do that, to find $100,000. How long of a time period might that be?
That assessment could be used for a few years. So would it mean that we have to do the assessment and immediately have to do the work?
It would essentially identify the scope of work. So once we have that, costs could be, if it's a couple of years down the road, it would just be probably increasing costs because of material and labor and whatnot, but we would have an idea of exactly, which could be fairly substantial. This is an old bridge. It's a long bridge, very heavy, lots of issues, steep embankments. So that's why it's really difficult to assess how much it would cost to remediate abutments based on the soil, based on erosion. Those things all need to be sort of fleshed out. And again, as you said, the important piece is that's what the engineering report or the engineering assessment would cost. Then you're into really starting to make decisions on whether or not we do have any budget or we should be engaging in budget discussions to fix a bridge. This type of bridge costs are fairly elevated. We've agreed that in principle, that full replacement of this bridge would be in excess of $1.5 million. So it's a substantial investment on behalf of the municipality.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you. A couple of comments here. First of all is, what would we be asking of the engineer that comes that says the work? Just the abutment first, because this is priority? Or the whole bridge?
If I may, we would be asking the engineer really to really abide by the inspection. So we've had yearly inspections on the bridge. They've identified these deficiencies, which is why we've kept the bridge low posted and, only to light traffic. So the engineer would, I think, essentially begin with the actual inspection report and some of the identified deficiencies that the naked eye can see, right? Because that physical inspection report is really basically just a physical, I will say, an eyeball inspection of the abutments, how they've kind of sunk, they shifted, the wood is crumpled,
The rock.
rotting. So that would be the starting point. So they are in essence the issue in this particular bridge. As part of the deck that would need to be repaired as well, but I really don't know
Yeah.
what that would entail.
We'll be looking at the structure as a whole because it's the abutments now, there's issues with all parts of the bridge. The abutments are the most serious concern, but the report's identifying a lot more than just the abutments. So if we we're going to do an assessment, we would be assessing the entire structure.
All the way to this. So Mr. Legault contacted and Mr. Parker contacted a company called Algonquin Bridges, which is in Ontario. And the bridge itself, if you were to buy it, okay, that length, that width, everything, okay, because they had a copy for, the council provided,
I just want to make sure we stick to the point.
I am.
No, but we are aware that some prices were reached out by residents. But unfortunately, we have a procurement process.
Mhm.
We can't do that. We will invite those companies to bid on the bridge though.
Thank you.
That we can do.
Yes,
Okay.
but what I'm saying, Algonquin Bridge.
Yep.
Which is built in Ontario.
Yep.
Same bridge, Eric, 598,000.
Yeah, but we
But that
need
bridge-
an official price. That's what I'm saying. We have a procurement process. And we'll invite the Belanger, the Algonquin and whoever else wants to
Yes.
bid on it. And they're gonna give us a price exactly what our engineer, the engineer was gonna tell us. This is what you need to do to replace that bridge or to temporarily fix that bridge. Or to eventually replace the whole decking, the whole bridge, everything. This is what needs to be done. And it will be possibly a phased approach, or maybe it's gonna be a full replacement with everything. We don't know until the engineer gives us that information. That's what we're saying.
But my question was, if this could be approached as a phase one for the approach, the cribbing, which they are rotten.
Mhm.
Okay, so if we hire an engineer firm to quote us what the emergency is.
Mhm.
Okay, let's keep in mind that we have a company that's willing to do it for 171,000. That's what
Yep.
I'm saying.
Yep.
So then we'll put it out and he could bid on it.
That's right.
But that's, not 1.5 million.
That's the process.
That's right.
Here comes the line. I'm just curious, how and who chooses a consultant? In general.
In general, we run an RFP process, looking for engineers or consultants or whichever we have. We give them sort of specs. We're looking for someone who can do this. They give us submissions, they send us their project team, their resumes, and they do an RFP submission. And then it's under a procurement, and then they're scored according to an RFP, and the award, depending on the value, the award will come to council, or for something like this, if we're talking that it's going to be likely 100,000+, then the award would come to council after the RFP process
How often
for each project.
for each project? So who decides? Because it never came to council, right? Just curious.
Oh, RFPs have come to council for engineering before, absolutely have.
For the bridges and,
We haven't done a structural. So when we did the structural analysis on Champlain Bridge, that one came to council. We haven't done this type of structural analysis. The OSIMs that get done every other year, we are in a multi-year proposal.
No, we reach out to,
Yeah.
3 local firms that
They're at a lower level of threshold for procurement, but the OSIMs are different than a structural engineering that we would do for this process.
Just clarify, it's over $50,000 that comes to
Council.
So the procurement policy as approved by council is that, I think if it's similar to the government contracts I work on, between 10 and 50, you have to get three competitive quotes. And up to $50,000, those are handled internally. And scored and granted any project of in any department, whether it's engineering, whether it's construction, anything over $50,000 comes to council.
so on any project,
Yes.
you go to tender for. But they didn't do the work yet, so they don't know how to charge for the work. So how did they come up with under 50,000 or over 50,000? I'm just trying to understand the way it works. Because you're not telling them, okay, we're gonna do that bridge or that bridge, and okay, give me an estimate of what's your cost gonna be. So they can't do it really without spending some time on it. You know what I mean? So how do you come up?
We're moving away from the discussion on the Denonville Bridge, but just again, in general on procurement, and we have a procurement bylaw. You know, so if we believe that the project is going to be under $25,000, we can go with a more informal process. If we think it's going to be more than $25,000, we go with a formal process, whether it's an RFQ, RFT, RFP. If it's more than 25 but under 50, then it can be awarded at the CIO level. If it's over 50, it comes to council for award. But the process all runs the same underneath, and it is based on, I think this project's going to be $1,000, so we're going to do an informal process, you know, and so then we receive those bids from the engineering firms, from the contractors, from the developers, you know, on what they're actually going to submit based on our, you know, specs. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I heard right, the beginning, Councillor Ferrer, the motion that we move forward with the cost, well, how much it would cost to have an engineer to rebuild this, and I would like to second that motion. And if it's possible, if we could have it, the engineer layout process of replacing, so would buy us some time. Within 10 years' time, it has to be replaced. So we have a chance to go to the ministry to ask for funds. We go to the ministry to ask for a baseball field. We ask for development of any kind. And this is actually an infrastructure for the Wesley Basin, and it has value. So if we could repair or reach the first problem, and then the rest, if we could have 10 years or whatever to deal with it, then we can. I'm not against any other project going on, but I think the livelihood of the people that lives there should come first. But I'm not against any other type of development. But I would like to second the motion of Monsieur Ferrand said. And I would also like to have a recorded vote.
Go ahead, Madam Mayor.
Just procedurally.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so procedurally, we're in committee, so there are no motions. We would take it, like, there's not a resolution on the floor. I would also like to move this discussion forward. I think the next step would be to get a cost for the structural assessment. Is that correct? and then a specified cost for what the structural assessment would come back for to council. And we can look at that and we can discuss at that time how to fund it, whether it's now, whether it's half now, half later, whether it's budget 2027. But if we can at least get the cost on the structural, and so because there's no recorded, there's no vote because we're in committee. We would put up our hands and that would give council direction, given the scope of the work, if the CAO felt it was appropriate to come back with a resolution formally directing staff to get the costing on the structural assessment, we could do it that way too. So, but there are no procedurally, there's not a motion or a resolution on the table. So it's not a vote, it's committee. And that's just procedural.
Ms. Craddock, go ahead.
Sorry, it's just a bit of a chicken and egg situation in that, you know, and as you're correct, so if we get to where you're directing staff to go and get an actual cost, the municipality can't participate in bid pricing, like bid shopping or costing. So if we're going out to an RFP, it's because we expect that there's a budget to actually be able to do the project, not just to go out to an RFP to see if the budget is going to be acceptable or not. So, you know, because if we go out to RFP on, and let's say council decides that they want to do this road, and council is going to take $100,000 out of general reserve, and we go out for an RFP, and the RFPs all come back at 250, council can kill the deal. But if council just goes out and says, I would like to do an RFP just to see what might be there at some future budget year, then we actually can't do those steps, right?
Councilor Bristol.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm not of the understanding that we want to go ahead with an RFP. I think if I heard correctly that we'd like to get a better sense of what an estimate of what the cost might be for through our staff leading, what it might cost to engage or put out tender, just so we have a sense if it is under, because I know I appreciate the work that's been done. We have, you know, a number that's in excess of 100,000, could be 150, could be 180, could be 300, who knows? But my understanding was that we're going to ask staff if they can come back with something a little bit more precise in terms of numbers that we can consider, and then move into the next decision if we want to go ahead with that, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't think, my thinking wasn't that we're going to move to the RFP phase right now.
So can I respond to that, just to be clear? So structural assessment, like we had received a cost to do in Leduc, so that was $40,000 2 years ago. So we're assuming that that will be $60,000. An engineering design to design the bridge, when we look at the past ones that we've done in recent years and we look at consultant costs, you're looking at $100,000 to probably $150,000 to do that design. Like, I don't think that, like, because we can't go bid shopping, those would be the numbers that I'd be coming back with.
Councilor Gabi.
Thank you. I think we need to invest that money to know what it would cost. Councilor Ferran said, we need to know what it would cost to repair it. You know, just to scrap it and not knowing what it costs, because the first information you were given, it's 1.5 million, and in 10 years' time, we'll have to repair again. Now it doesn't seem to be that way. Now it's 1.5 million and it will stick. So I think I think we owe it to the resident to know what that bridge would cost to have it repaired. Then we'll take the decision, do we or we don't, but we need to know what it would cost. And to have it layered.
Yeah, just to move this meeting on, can I suggest that we, oh, sorry, Councilor Louis.
I didn't say much, so I'll be brief. If I'm hearing everything properly, especially from staff, they don't dispute what we're saying. All they're telling us, it might be between 100 to 150 and 40,000. The question is, where are we going to find that money? So I think before we decide to say to staff, yes, go ahead and do it, We can't go ahead and do it if we don't have that money. So personally, I think until the staff come back to us and say, you know what, we can go into general reserve, or we can go find 40,000 for Leduc, and we can go find 150 for Denonville and do it, then absolutely, I don't disagree that I think we need to know. But I think prior to making a decision of moving forward, we have budgets. We meet in October, November, December to come up with our budgets. I think we need to make sure that the money's there. That's my thought process on this.
Okay, thank you. And just to follow up with your comment, Conseil Saint-Louis, I would recommend that we request the staff to come back with potential savings, if we have some in the public works budget. And if we don't, that we put it as a budgetary item for next year for the Denonville Bridge as a priority one. And then also to look at the Leduc Bridge at a later date or for next budget. Would that be reasonable, Ms. Hennings?
We can certainly do that. I wouldn't have a clear indication of potential savings until closer to the end of construction season.
Yes, that's okay.
To be clear on that.
Show of hands, any comment on my recommendation? Show of hands, who's in favor? Okay, thank you very much. Anything else, Ms. Henning, on your side?
That's everything.
No? Okay, thank you. Back to you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we will go to 6.4 community services, and we'll move to, I'll give the floor to Councilor Rivard, our chair.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the first item we have is regarding the service valve. We received a presentation a couple months ago now, I guess at this point. And there's a pretty good report here about the volunteer improvement analysis and kind of what kind of impact it would have for our municipality, but I guess I'd like to pass it over to Monsieur Poulain. Want to touch on any aspects of the report, or sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as you can see in the detailed report, and my thanks to our communications section here for preparing this comprehensive analysis. As you can see, there's really a depiction of what our current activities are from a municipality perspective with regards to recruitment of volunteers and board and committee members. We have a fairly, I will say, effective system of doing that in-house. That has been seen as successful. Certainly the service ballot program, which was brought forward by Mass LBB, is a pilot program that is supposed to run concurrently with a municipal election to obviously gather a list of potential volunteers for committees, boards, and other activities side of the municipalities, which I will say. But it also supposed to serve the municipality to recruit volunteers for such roles. And from what we can see through staff discussion, the analysis, the recommendation from staff and certainly support staff on this piece, that there really is not a huge benefit to the municipality to engage in this particular pilot project. There's a few things that obviously we had a few concerns that it would confuse the actual election process. So we were looking at doing a separate process. We already do a separate process that basically accomplishes all of our needs. It's a little bit more streamlined the way we actually do it, with respect to the whole process, taking those particular volunteers in. Service ballot process really also benefits Mass LBP with providing them with all of the data, with really generating that type of data for their purposes. But from our perspective, we're seeing that through our consultation with the town of Innisfil as well, is engaged in the process. They have similar challenges, and as you can see, the scope of work that would be involved is fairly extensive. I appreciate that back in March when we had this discussion, I had intimated that, I believe that staff would have the capacity, but when we actually got down to the nitty gritty, in brass tacks and looked at this whole process, the investment just isn't worth, or it just isn't worth the investment in this program at this time. So we're recommending that we pull back and just continue to engage in the process that we currently have in place, and perhaps look to modernize that even further through specific ways. But I'll leave it back to you, Mr. Chair, if there are any further discussions. And yeah, those are our comments we have for staff.
Thanks for that. Open up the floor for any questions or comments. Councilor Russell.
Through Mr. Chair, I appreciate the overview of our previous discussions, and I think things have evolved a little bit since then. One thing I can point to as well is the volunteer appreciation event that's coming up later June. And that's something that was launched, and Councilor Rivard was a big voice behind that. And like CEO mentioned, that's kind of local processes, right? Engagement. And I think once we get that going, I think that can definitely assist in drumming up interest. When you can see in the community that the current volunteers are being recognized, it definitely might inspire others to get involved as well. And, you know, having time to read this report, which was very good, and to think back and look ahead actually to the election process that's coming up and engaging in a new format this year. I think it's probably good to keep things clean and not potentially add to confusion with multiple online pieces at election time, especially when we're transitioning over. So I definitely go with the staff's recommendation and pause this and see if we can keep, I'm sure we can keep growing that within our community. Right here, home.
Thanks, Councilor Russell. Councilor Gagné.
I won't repeat the same thing, but I did ask the question at the initial presentation. We have time with the new election process. We have key staff that took their retirement, and I wasn't really in favor of moving forward. So I support staff's recommendation to push it aside for now. Maybe look at the next election. Please. Thank you.
Just procedurally, and I'm not sure, did we direct by resolution to participate in the service ballots? Because if we did, then I'd want a resolution
We didn't.
back to undo that, if you know what I mean. But if it was just committee, then fine.
It was just committee.
Okay, so mine was procedural. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It looks like, so let's show of hands. Who would like to move forward with this project or who would agree with the staff recommendation that we do not move forward? And as it was mentioned, I guess I just like to fill a plug in right now where June 25th is the first volunteer recognition event at the Sturgeon Falls Lifford House Museum. It starts at 5:30 to 7:30. There's going to be 12 recipients, 2 community groups, 10 individual members, 1 being a youth and 1 being, it's a proper term that we're using.
Older adult.
Very experienced.
For long-term volunteer.
Great.
Yeah, sorry if I offended. But we'll move over to number 6.4.2, part of our addendum, West Nipissing pickleball activity discussion. So that was placed on our desks. Looks like this was brought forward by Councilor Tyler, I believe, and it's in regard to potentially hosting a municipally run pickleball program. It's Nipissing once again. It's a staff report. I don't know if everyone had the chance to read it. But I'll pass it over to Ms.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I mean, I know we're all aware, obviously, of this particular issue that really has been a longstanding issue. I think from a perspective of municipal support, back in 2021, there was a lot of support for a pickleball program to be run by the municipality based on the immediacy of the program and promotion and being flexible in that regard. certainly throughout the last number of years, we've had to shut the program down because of an incident. Fired the program back up, and certainly, as you all know, over the last number of years, we've had some winter programs, we've had some summer programs. We have continued throughout that period, and I know I've only been here a short while, but in discussion with staff, we've continued to encourage the club to modernize our operations and come into line with other organized sports clubs in the interest of being consistent and in the interest of equity to the other organizations out there. As you well know, in December, we had a delegation from Monsieur Tardif and the Western Pacific pickleball group. They indicated at that time that, if you recall, that they're a structured club with president, VP, past president, treasurer, secretary, and further indicated that although they weren't incorporated or registered, they were a not-for-profit group, that they had the capacity to manage, hall rentals, scheduling their own activities, and collecting their own fees. They presented a fairly substantial, detailed breakdown of their activities. As you can see, these are today details all of the activities that they do manage on their own without municipal assistance through various schools and health center. Throughout these discussions, we've continued to try and work with the club and work out and really lay down our expectations on this piece. Certainly, we have seen that they do have the capacity to manage themselves. They have been scheduling themselves through the schools appropriately. They have been collecting club fees appropriately. However, it seems that we've had to do a lot of back and forth here where we've had a lot of, I will say, discussion back and forth with regards to the municipality continuing to support running programs. There seems to be a reticence for them as soon as, we're asking them to fall in line with other sports organizations to essentially just rent facilities and manage their own clubs, that there becomes a reticence and they continue to request that we run municipal programs on those pieces. So as you can see from the report, again, this was a bit of a last minute addendum that staff worked on, and I thank them for that, all of this information. As you can see, we had provided some information in the staff report back in January or so. We did, at the behest of the club being flexible again and understanding that, this group wanted to play pickleball in an indoor facility. We did exercise some flexibility and implemented a program this past winter at Vernon Arena, with the caveat that they really look to get organized moving forward. And now we find ourselves right back into the situation. We have been having a lot of discussion with them post-winter program with regards to renting the facility at the Sturgeon Falls Arena if they wish to play indoors. We've had some discussion with Mr. Tardif, had extensive discussion with Councillor Pedernay and others, as has Mr. Pedernay. Again, at this point, we've had a subsequent agenda request come from Mr. Pedernay or Councillor Pedernay with regards to the town now entertaining a pickleball program again this summer. So that said, we're looking for some direction from staff or from council with regards to how you wish us to handle this piece. I can say that we've encouraged them, obviously, to look to enter a contract with us with regards to renting our facilities. We've looked at a reduction in fees. We've looked at making sure that we're charging them for actual use rather than all of the requested book times. And we continue to try and be flexible on this piece. But again, it seems that we can't particularly satisfy this group for some reason. And we find ourselves back before council on this piece. And my apologies. I really look to, staff and I really look to resolve these issues, but it seems that we continue in the past. I will leave the rest of you to review the report and.
Thank you very much. And just the one thing like that, in the report, there is a list of kind of other examples of how things go, you know, a nice example. But I'll just open up the floor to any questions or comments.
Since I brought the agenda item, I'd like to speak. I didn't bring this on behalf of the group at all. So whatever notes you have got nothing to do with it. I'm here to ask for a program because the group, the club doesn't fit all. Because there's been people that came, we rented inverter. We were forced to because, and then stopped, they didn't want to do the program, so I got fed up and I put it in my name. Okay, we had to buy insurance extra for that. And to me, as a taxpayer, I shouldn't have to do that to bring people to come out and to play. Some of you, I know, are gonna think, well, it's like hockey teams, but it's not. I played hockey all my life, and pickleball is not the same. It varies from 16 years old to 80 years old. If you do it as a club, people have to register in the club, and some of them won't. If we do it like we had it in Verner or as a program, it's at the arena, you pay $5, you go and try it, see if you like it. We talk all the time about the well-being of the people. Like, you go to Sudbury, and they've got all kinds of programs like this. Or at Falcon Bridge, I called them this afternoon. At Capriole, all on the outskirts. They've got a program. We've got an empty arena here. We've got the staff at the door. All you have to do is zap you. I really don't understand. And here they want to go through the club because of insurance thing. I don't get it. And I'm a little pissed off that I had to do that in Verner, to put it under my name, have that responsibility. We should not have to do that. So I'm asking for the program to be back on and to work out something. I've got some suggestions here. Like 3 days from 9 to 12, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and 2 nights, 6 to 8, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And you can pay a daily fee or for the month. Like, it's done elsewhere. So to me, pickleball it's almost like going to the swimming pool or the exercise program. You come in one at a time, and nobody plays with the same person twice. So whoever comes in, you play. So it's not like hockey. So that's what I want to see. I'd like the council to agree to put the program back on. That's it.
Thank you, Conseiller Pellerin. Conseiller Farrell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I agree. When I started thinking about it, I came to the same conclusion. And I think we're trying to have a one-size-fits-all solution. And we have to consider that, you know, it is not like hockey. Hockey have teams that are organized, they have coaches, they have managers, they have a whole organization. Pickleball, it's like trying to to say, well, everyone who wants to use the gym should form an association and rent the gym from us, and then they'll collect the money and they'll sort it out themselves. I think we have to be flexible. We have to look at each sport individually, and I think there's scope to offer programs that will help these people to play without having to ask them to go and get their own insurance. You know, it looks to me that it's possible to do, and we've done it. Other municipalities do it. Why can't we?
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I understand, however, I'm sorry, I'll be of the opposite opinion, and I'm not even going to talk hockey. We have kids that play soccer, and they have their own programs that we can register. We have kids that play baseball. They have their own programs and they have their own association. I set up, was it 10 years ago, a summer program for hockey kids, but to work out. I had to rent the arena. I had to get my insurance. I don't think just because, and look at the curling club. We have kids that are 13 and we have people that are 80 and they all pay and they're all members. And I understand pickleball is getting bigger and it's great and it's good for everyone. However, I think to me, it's a sport. It's a sport no different than whether it's curling or golf. You've got individuals that golf and they start at 5 years old up to 80. Well, guess what? They need to pay. They need to be members. They need to rent. I'm putting on a golf tournament. Well, I have to rent that golf course. So I understand that we want to help the pickleball community. I don't disagree with it, but I think they should fall in line like everybody else.
Thank you very much, Councilor. Louis. Oh, excuse, Councilor Larrabee.
Hey, thank you, Chair. I tend to agree with Conseiller Farah and Conseiller. Well, right, I've done me one. All right, yeah, I remember years and years ago, Monsieur, we all came here for, we all asking for pickleball, and it was great. It's good exercise for the elderly. Now we hear that the younger generation is getting into it, but there's not much activity for the elderly that wants to keep fit. I think we should do everything in our power to help them. We help the kids. Yeah, there's a skateboard, whatever, the competition, they flip what the, you know, and they go there whenever they want and there's no problem. I think, and especially the elders, they've paid their dues, they've paid their taxes year after year after year. Most of them, a lot of them are pensioned. So let's do something for them. It's not like they're starting, they've been at it for many years, been sitting at the table here for many years, and I'm just, you know, let's do something for them. Let's make it work, what they're asking. You know, even if it's out of the ordinary, the other communities are doing it. So let's do it for them. They've paid their dues. Most of them got white hairs.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilor Perrin.
Just a quick comment, Councilor Larrabee. I'm not asking to get a freebie. People will still pay whatever it's worth, but they have a chance to win and try it, and that's all I want. Nothing's free.
Merci, Councilor Perrin. Councilor Russell.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Not looking for a specific number, but just generally, reading the report that was put together, sounded like there was potential for an arrangement with the group, and it kind of fell through after, sounds like they got the information, went back and came back to us. How, again, very generally, how wide is that gap from what was proposed and they were okay seeing? And then when they came back?
Yeah, and what's since,
Well, I'm just reading the information here. It says that, we proposed this to them. They were, I won't say in agreement, but they seemed okay. They went back and then came back and said it's not gonna work.
so specific to the group, Mr. Pilo and I met with them and we discussed, and we have a rate of $65 an hour for the arena floor rental, and that goes back several years ago, 7-8 years, when there was a youth ball hockey league that was started and an adults ball hockey league that was started. And the rate was $65 an hour for the adult group and $55 an hour for the youth group for ball hockey at the Sturgeon Arena. And so we started with those rates and they went back to their members. It didn't seem problematic. They went back to their members and came back and said, there's no way we can do it at that price because, and one of the things they were requesting, I believe, is something similar to what Councillor Perret just mentioned, 3 days a week. No, they were originally 5 days a week, 3 hours per day and 2 hours for 2 separate evenings. So the amount of hours add up when you look at the hourly cost. So again, Mr. Pilon and I discussed this further. Mr. Pilon then proposed to the group, and after we discussed it internally, and we had a rate of $45 an hour for daytime use and $35 an hour for evening use. As we look at hockey as prime time versus non-prime time, because we know from numbers when we did have evening sessions in past programs, they weren't well attended at all. So again, we sent the group a contract with the revised rates and they came back and they said, we're not going to entertain that at those rates at this time. And that's where we stand.
Was there any, they come with any rates? Or they just said we can't do this?
During our discussions, the group felt that if they would pay $30 an hour, that would be adequate for them. But beyond what we had discussed, we felt that unless there's a fee waiver request submitted by the group, that council would then deliberate and direct. We just felt that it was beyond our means to go any lower than that.
Thanks for that. And for my thought on this, I really definitely support group. I don't know if we're kind of in between things here because we've asked them to get organized and they've done that. And now some of the suggestion here is it shouldn't be organized. It should just be a drop-in kind of thing. So it seems like we're kind of having two options or two groups. I don't know what I'm looking for. But and we're getting, we're mid-June, right? And I'm sure they'd like to get going as soon as they could. We have an empty facility for the most part for the summer. It's an opportunity for revenue generation to rent out a space that's going to stay empty if we don't, because I don't think we have any other asks on the table for that space. And it's something it's growing and I wouldn't want to fall behind. I think if we have people who are interested in this, to give them the opportunity to, play what they like to play, and we have the space and it's the community's, the community's infrastructure that we'd be using. I don't know, my suggestion is maybe if we can go back and have, have another kick of the can with their discussion, see what the cost might be. And I say that with all respect to everything that's happened so far. But I'd hate to see us not move forward this in some capacity. When we have the facilities, we have people who want to be using the facilities. It's something that's growing. I think it would be a big loss if we just, shut the door and didn't provide the opportunity. So I say that without a clear vision of what it's gonna look like, but I'd really like to see something come back. You know, I don't know how we do this, if we have to wait until July to introduce this, or if we can have discussions in the interim to get something going as soon as we could. I think it's, you know, not that we're here to make money, but we're not here to do everything for free as well, because there are costs associated with staff and whatnot. But if we can do it where we have a reasonable amount for these individuals to take part, and we're using the facilities and we're letting people be active at whatever age range that they're at, I think it's all wins. And then, you know, I'll just stay on the other side as well. Councillor St. Louis, I agree as well. We play everything and there's a cost to it, and that's unfortunate, but that's, if I want to play hockey or baseball, you wouldn't notice but my physique here, but more golf, you know, there's a cost to it. And, you know, I think there should be some reasonable costs associated with utilizing the facilities, because like was mentioned, our kids have to pay to play soccer and baseball and hockey, and adults playing hockey as well and golf, we pay for all that stuff. I don't think that's an unreasonable ask, but I think we got to find something in the middle there, because we leave a pretty big. So I'm trying not to get us to 9:30, so I'll stop talking.
Councillor, I'll just ask, I see Councillor Nicol has her hand.
Thank you, through you. I have a two-part question. Either way, there's a staff member there, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Second part, would it be possible to pilot half of these days they've asked for, maybe just for a month, to see if the demand is there? And if it is, we could reassess and maybe add more time. And if not, say no, and then they do it on their own.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I don't think the issue was really, you know, we remain flexible with, and I'm a little confused. I'm just starting to come to the realization here that I'm probably dealing with two different groups here. I'm dealing with Councillor Pellerin and I'm dealing with the Pickleball Association. So I'm a little bit confused as to how this is all supposed to work out. So I was under the impression that it was all one entity, but you know, perhaps I need some additional clarity on that piece, but so I think maybe that's a bit of a roadblock there, because I was under the impression, or I will say we were under the impression that we were dealing with the same group of people, but seeing now that potentially there's two different groups, because the Pickleball Association is covered with their own insurance. You know, we've had discussions with them. They didn't seem to have an issue with renting the hall. They had an issue with the actual fee and the cost of it. We remain very flexible with regards to the hours. They were asking for 19 hours a week, and we were certainly more than willing to audit that if they booked the space and managed their schedule and collected their fees. And we also intimated to them that we would be essentially just billing them for what they use. So, you know, they have a scheduling app. They have the capacity to manage these points, do that through the schools. So if, you know, on a Tuesday night, there's nobody showing up, then we wouldn't be charging them for that hour or whatever. They would just need to let us know. Our staff would just need to track exactly how many hours they are using, and we would just necessarily bill them back that way. So there's always been that flexibility. Councilor Nicol, hopefully I've answered that question that way, but that's kind of where we sort of landed with the pickleball group.
Thank you.
Seeing that perhaps there's a bit of a conflict with different.
Thank you, Councillor.
I have to look at.
Yeah, it'd be similar, I guess, to other sports, how there's multiple groups sometimes, and they all have their own ways of running.
Yeah,
They all have to run.
I was mistaken and I had a misunderstanding. I'm starting to understand.
Thank you. So just before we go back to Councillor Pellerin, would Councillor Gagné or Madam Mayor have a comment?
Well, I'll make my comment. For me, I don't think pickleball is any different than hockey. I run the old timer league, we collect insurance money, we collect registration, we buy pucks, we buy jersey. We have 6 volunteers that make sure that everybody is set up, and we have the necessary equipment and referees, and we have goalies and all of that stuff. So I don't see it any different. I think maybe for your any drop in that go in,
maybe actually, your group or association kind of fundraise at the same time some extra money. You just need a volunteer that's gonna take care of that every day. That would be my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Lee. Councilor Barrett?
Just on that note. Again, comparing to hockey. If somebody wants to come and play with you one night, just one night to try it out, can't, right? You got your group.
Well, technically, we put them on a wait list if they want. to
Okay,
play.
yeah.
Yeah, but they just can't drop in and do it. But if we are entertaining that. That maybe a player's gonna come and he's gonna pay $10 to home.
Okay, you're
It's kind of the same thing. Yeah.
that could happen in hockey. Could. In pickleball, it happens a lot of time. Because you've got all kinds of people, like I say, all ages. And a lot of people are too shy. Or too, a lot of people don't have the money to join the pickleball club. There's a few that plays with us outside. You know, that tell us that. So I don't want to leave anybody aside. And often enough, we have somebody that comes and tries it out. And that's what I want program to do. And it's not about the money. The people are ready to pay the money. It's like I said, it's not free. But it's the opportunity for somebody to come and try it out. So you don't have to join the pickleball club and pay $80 or $100. And we're always comparing ourselves to other municipalities. Well, we're comparing to Sudbury. They offer it in their little towns. And here we have it in our main town, and we can't even have the arena, which is empty, as a program. That's what I don't get. That's all.
Thank you, Councilor Barrett. To try and wrap this up, I'll finish up with my comments. I listened to there's quite a bit of everything from everywhere, so I'll try and make it quick. But I do tend to agree. Like, I do believe the pickleball community, they've come a long way, gotten more organized, but I still think, you know, we can help a little bit more. I'm not saying the staff hasn't helped. We have helped quite a bit. We've been fairly lenient, even trying to help with the fee reduction and all of this and that. But I do believe when you take into account other sports, I agree with Councilor Stanley, Councilor Gagne. That's just what it is. Men's league hockey, I can, like, there are drop-ins. I can rent the ice, tell some people, hey, I rented the ice, you post it, people show up with $5, we all play a game. Right? And then I need to provide insurance to the town. So it's actually the exact same thing. There's no difference. You do it for youth hockey, women's hockey, so it's the same thing as well. You got from 5 years old to, I don't know, Monsieur Poulain still plays hockey as well. And then the whole timers league, you know, I don't want to hate them too much, but we're all like, we all play these sports a long time. So, but it's just, then you've also got curling, you got school events, they rent the facility to use them. This isn't out of the norm to put a facility up for rent so that they can then use the facility by having insurance and all of these things. It's fairly simple. And then the other issue with this is if we go and start saying we're going to run a municipal program, hey, why doesn't the municipality run a men's league hockey program? Why don't they run a hockey program for old timers who just want to go out and try hockey, play soccer, all these things, right? But no, you can always rent that facility and do that on your own. Similar with soccer, you can go play at the facility by yourself with your friends and organize something. We'd be going down a rabbit hole at this point where they can do it. Oh, they're doing it in the schools as well. And then so I like where Jamie touched on the $30, if that's their request. Is there a will of council where we just meet that request? But it's not a municipally run program, because I don't believe that that's what the municipality is in the business of doing. And the issue with that, though, is then it is scary as well, where you're opening the door to every group can just start negotiating fees that they're using. I don't know what could happen with that as well, right? So now you have all these youth baseball, we just have these nice new fields. What if they come in afterwards, they're like, hey, you gave this group $20 off on the rental, we would like to do the same. It's, to me, we are being fairly lenient, we're trying to help, the group has the capacity. There's nothing wrong with renting out a facility by the group as they wish. Still allow walk-ins. If the walk-ins can pay $5 to the municipality to walk in, why can't they pay a group? As Councilor Gagne said, and then it's revenue generator. So that's just my comment, but I don't know. I see Madam.
Well, I just wanted to touch on the math, as far as doing a further reduction. The arena is 5 courts, is that correct?
Right.
So 5 courts at $45 an hour is $9 per court per hour, 4 players per court. So the cost is $2 at the rate that staff has already negotiated to. The cost is $2 per hour per player, $2.50 per hour per player. So, you know, I wouldn't want to negotiate any further down than what we've already got, because there's 5 courts there and 4 people can play. Like, it's not an unreasonable price per person. There is an opportunity for the Pickleball Association to actually make a profit and help, you know, support ongoing activities if they choose to do it that way. So I just wanted to touch on the math on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, and then I would just like to also echo the comments about it is an empty facility in the summer. That's why I wouldn't mind somewhat looking at if that is what it takes, get somebody in there and to help the group for the time being, and then maybe it would be a reassessment where you do have to go back to the $45. That's kind of, because otherwise it does just sit empty for nothing. And it's a way that we can keep building with the group to try and help them out. So that's why I kind of like that question from Councilor Stoll. But I guess the initial question that we'll have to have a vote on would be who is entertained in running a municipal or having the municipality run a pickleball program. By a show of hands.
Is this a vote?
Well, it's gonna give direction to council. It's not a resolution. Or it's gonna give direction to staff, but it's not a resolution.
Will it come to a vote?
Would you like it to come to a
Yes.
vote? Okay, so instead of taking a vote right now, have a resolution drafted for the next meeting. Okay, and then,
To see if the municipality would like
Yeah.
to run.
and then we can have a vote.
Yeah, listen, the municipalities, if I may, the municipality is certainly willing to move forward with something to assist the pickleball community. What are we talking about? We're talking about a resolution to come to the 14th of July meeting.
Yeah.
And then we're running into a situation. So from a perspective of that piece, like, we are willing to be flexible on this. Just looking for some direction from council on this piece as to how you wish us to proceed. And I'm okay with, you know.
If you wanted to go to
Expediting
a
this.
vote, then it's not gonna come back until the 14th of July, which means that nothing happens between now and then.
But if we want to kind of give direction to staff that
If you want to give direction to staff now, then they can move forward with doing whichever. Like starting tomorrow.
I like it to be a program. It was before. And we're talking about money to be made. You're gonna make more money by running it as a program than with the club.
Sorry, is that Councilor?
Just some clarification that staff are dealing with Pickleball Association. Conseiller Pedrin is asking the municipality to run a program totally separate from the Pickleball Association, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I personally think if staff want to continue to have the conversations that they're having with the Pickleball Association and try to negotiate something with them, absolutely, I would support that. And if Conseiller Pedrin wants us to come back in July for a vote, then we'll deal with that portion at that time. To me, does that make sense? I don't know, because it was very confusing and I apologize right from the start. I thought you were, like Mr. Pinot said, I thought you were speaking on behalf of the Pickleball Association. Sorry, that's.
No, yeah.
Okay, so bring it back as a resolution for a July 14th meeting, and if you continue to have conversations and anything changes, you can give us an update at that time. Okay, we need a motion to extend curfew. St. Louis and Restulos. All in favor? Okay, question?
Go ahead, fix that.
Okay, extend curfew, all in favor? Okay, next week on pickleball?
Yeah, just
Okay,
to make sure when the resolution comes back, are we gonna have costing associated? Cause if Monsieur Pellegrin wants to spout to run a program, you need insurance, right?
well,
We're gonna
we
have-
would
we're gonna need
have,
that full costing, we need additional staff to collect the money or not.
is there gonna be
need that.
like
And if we-
liability waivers involved, like, you know,
We're gonna have that information.
Yeah, provided. It varies from the time they go.
If-
After the arena ice plant starts in August, we obviously have pickleball. And then we go to a facility where it's not staffed.
Okay.
Complex is staffed, with the clerks there throughout the day, and evening. However, once we get the ice plant going, we move it to Vernon, it's an unstaffed building.
Okay,
That would be a staffing cost.
thank you. Can I have that information, please?
okay, can we close the pickleball discussion? Because we have a regular meeting to get through with like actual resolutions that need to be passed to move forward with business.
On that note, can we get costing what it costs another municipality? Would you like to compare? Compare.
We can look at if municipalities do run programs, what they charge for their programs. I know City of North Bay, they don't. They have, they're private courts and they're private clubs that charge a membership fee to participate. They have outdoor courts for summertime, but I think if we're looking at indoor, we're looking at totally different type, but we can do an analysis. I think we had provided information there and Councillor Pedane referenced that the fact that he called the city of Sudbury, we could look into it a bit more. But most, if they do run dropping programs, I'm sure that there's a fee in most cases, and we'll try to do a comparable analysis on what other municipalities are charging.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on. I am gonna suggest that we move 6.5 to our next meeting, because I don't think that there's anything particularly time sensitive about that matter. And we do want to get through the resolutions that we have in front of us. Is council in agreement with that? Yes. Okay, thank you. I'm moving on to our regular meeting and consent agenda, please, Madam Clerk.
It is moved by Council Restall and seconded by Councillor St. Louis. Be it resolved that the consent agenda for the Council and Committee of the Whole held on June the 16th, 2026 be approved as presented.
Okay, questions or comments? All in favor? Scary. Thank you. Next, planning 7.2.
It is moved by Councillor St. Louis and seconded by Councillor Restall. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-46 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 2014-45 to rezone certain lands located on Moon Court, being lots 5 to 11, 13 to 18, and lot 20, Plan 36M 734 in the Township of Springer from residential 1 to residential 2 for lots 5 to 11, and from residential 2 to residential 1 for lots 13 to 18 and lot 20 shall come into force on the day it is passed.
Okay, questions or comments? I will note that this application was approved by the Planning Advisory Committee or recommended by the Planning Advisory. Questions or comments? Councillor
Thank you.
Robart?
Yeah, to you. Are all those R2s being proposed municipally serviced? Water and sewer?
Yes, they're all municipally serviced and in our planning advisory meeting, it was stipulated, and perhaps I should let Samantha speak, but it was stipulated that basically the swap is 1-for-1. So R1s to R2s are 1-to-1, so it doesn't impact the servicing capacity. There's no increase in expected servicing given this bylaw amendment, that really you have the same number of R1s and R2s as you had before. It's just a different configuration.
Thanks.
Other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor? Carrie, thank you.
It is moved by Councillor Rivard and seconded by Councillor Pellerin. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-47 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 2014-45 to rezone certain lands located at 697 Kurstal Road, being part 3, part of lot 3, concession 1 in the township of Springer, from residential 2 to residential 4, exception zone 5, shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Okay, thank you. I will note that at Planning Advisory Committee that this was not recommended, and I don't know if Ms. Willett wants to speak further than that, or council has questions or comments. Councillor.
I can wait for the comments from staff.
Okay.
I can provide just a brief summary if you'd like. So through you, this is a request to rezone the property from an R2 to an R4 to allow for four dwelling units. As of late, 3 are permitted by the Planning Act. So it's that increase in a unit, and then to reduce the required lot area to the existing, the minimum front yard setback and the side yard setback. It was recommended to be refused by the Planning Advisory Committee because of concerns voiced regarding the undersized lot, that the reduced setback, which abuts residential, low-rise residential, may have impacts. There was concerns with the functionality of the parking configuration and concerns that the neighborhood context doesn't align with the low density that is nearby.
Questions or comments, Councillor Westwood?
Through you, Madam Mayor, just quickly, I was in contact, this is in Ward 4, I was in contact with a number of homeowners in the area, and they weren't supportive of this. It doesn't seem to match, you know, I'm not gonna repeat, but the comments that were made by our planner is what was echoed by community members in the area, so I didn't hear. And if I can ask one question, I don't want this to drag on, but I just noticed in the report that it said that there was no comments were received from members of the public, and in email I had received, and I saw that you were CC'd on it too. There was a letter from 13 homeowners in the area who were opposed to the project. Is there, and this is the first time question, is there a time relation to when these comments are received? Because I think in the email they came in maybe around the time of the meeting.
So through you, the Planning Advisory Committee agenda is up on Friday afternoon. His letter was received Monday afternoon, which is, so it was provided and presented to the Planning Advisory Committee. It just wasn't included or mentioned in the staff report because the report was prepared before the rest.
Perfect, thank you.
And there were several residents who did speak. Also, the committee did hear those concerns directly, both through the letter and through in-person submissions. Okay, other questions or comments? Councillor.
If I may just add to this, there was also issues for the snow. Not enough room for parking with the snow being, was not a good fit. Yeah, area.
Okay, so the resolution's on the table to approve the zoning bylaw amendment. All in favor? All in favor of approving the zoning bylaw amendment? Just want to make sure. Okay, that is defeated. Thank you. 7.3 correspondence. So there's just a couple of pieces of correspondence there. One in regards to some new provincial legislation. The other one in regards to the any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll just have those as want to make. any
Oh.
comment?
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Rivard.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that I reiterated that I did seek advice and I did come back the next meeting. I believe it was the meeting after. And I mentioned that I did seek advice and I was told that I wasn't in a conflict. And I did that with the hopes that I would save the municipality money by going into a long investigation. So I think I still did the right choice by doing so because it didn't lead to an investigation. But I just like to add, like, if there's a question of my integrity or, me mentioning, because I did bring it up and I did look into it. So I did do the right thing, but if just come and ask me, I would have provided the report and shown, no, I did the right thing. I seeked advice and I was told that I did not have a conflict. So that would just be for me in the future to save even further money, because even though he didn't do a full investigation, the IC, I'm sure there will be costs associated to the dismissal report. So that's just something I like to say. It's good that people are using the IC. I won't dismiss that. But in this case in particular, I did seek the advice and I did make it very clear on public record that I did. So yeah, that would just be my advice for that. So there's no future cost on the to the taxpayer.
Thank you. And I will say, I think this council has been very good at taking their responsibilities under both code of conduct and under conflict of interest in seeking advice if we have any questions. I do appreciate that Councillor Rivard did disclose that he had sought advice and was given advice by the IC prior to participating in the discussions that he did not have a conflict. So thank you for that. And we'll move on. New business.
It is moved by Councillor Rivard and seconded by Councillor Paladin. Whereas a request has been received for a noise bylaw exemption for the Rainville family reunion at 46 Edward Street. What did I miss?
Long-term.
There's in the wrong order. My apologies.
Thank you.
It is moved by Councillor Paladin and seconded by Councillor Rivard. Whereas Anne Montang and Dave Baudry have requested a noise bylaw exemption for a wedding reception at 429 Champagne Road in Sturgeon Falls. Be it resolved that Council of West Nipissing Municipality grants a noise bylaw exemption for the event on September the 5th, 2026, and permits amplified sound and music until 2 a.m. on September 6th.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
If I got just a question, how late does our exemption cover? 1 o'clock or 2?
It's up to the
What we-
discretion of council.
Okay.
So,
It is moved by Councillor Rivard and seconded by Councillor Paladin, whereas a request has been received for a noise bylaw exemption for the Rainville family reunion at 46 Edward Street, Cache Bay. Be it resolved that Council of the West Nipissing Municipality grants a noise bylaw exemption for the event on July 31st, August 1st, and August 2nd until 1 a.m. each evening, subject to reasonable measures being taken to minimize disturbances.
any questions or comments? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you.
It is moved by Councillor Rivard and seconded by Councillor Paladin. Whereas on June 2nd, 2026, Council considered a report from the Director of Corporate Services concerning recent emergency repair work required to the Bay Street lift station.
You missed First Street.
Okay, who put these things back in the wrong one? It's fine. It's fine. Which-
I told the council, I put it in order.
No checks.
I pass it to Gavin.
Sure, we'll get them all.
I depend on you guys to do this.
Look,
Okay,
that
where
always
am I?
be easy, but I'm-
Now I'm lost. I'm lost.
We're on.
From my job, just read them, will
Sorry, guys.
We'll follow.
Okay, I need my agenda.
Sorry.
Okay.
Just need some new signatories. That's it.
Although they're just in the wrong order. Okay, it is moved by Councillor Gagne and seconded by Councillor Rivard. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-48, being a bylaw to authorize the sale of land municipally known as 30 Front Street in Sturgeon Falls, to Marien and Jackie Bergeron in trust for a company to be incorporated for the purchase price of $935,500 plus HST shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Okay, questions or comments? All in favor? Carried.
Okay, back to the wastewater reserve.
Wastewater.
Back to the wastewater reserve. Sure. Apologies, guys. Oh, yes. It is moved by council. Yeah, it is. 388.
Oh, okay. Sorry, yes.
It is moved by Councillor Palavagé and seconded by Councillor Rivard. Whereas on June the 2nd, 2026, council considered a report from the Director of Corporate Services concerning recent emergency repair work required for the Bay Street Lift Station. And whereas council has agreed to transfer $388,400 from the Water and Wastewater General Reserve to the Water and Wastewater Operations Budget to address the required repairs. Be it resolved that the sum of $388,400 be transferred from the Water and Wastewater General Reserve to the 2026 Water and Wastewater Operations Budget to carry out the required repairs to the Bay Street Lift Station.
Okay, questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Reallocation capital.
It is moved by Councillor Pellerin and seconded by Councillor Rivard. Whereas upgrades to the Bay Street Lift Station electrical panel were included in the 2026 Water and Wastewater Capital Budget. And whereas on June the 2nd, 2026, council considered a report from the Director of Corporate Services concerning a necessary retrofit to the Bay Street Lift Station, in addition to the items already budgeted for in the 2026 Water and Wastewater Capital. And whereas the digester roof replacement scheduled for 2026 will not be proceeding this year, be it resolved that the sum of $64,200 intended for the digester roof replacement be used for the required retrofit to the base, be reallocated for the required retrofit to the Bay Street Lift Station.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Simcoe Street.
Simcoe Street. Okay. Whereas it is moved by Councillor Rivard and seconded by Councillor Gondry, whereas at its meeting of June the 2nd, 2026, Council for the West Nipissing Municipality discussed the proposed disposition of municipally owned lands described as part of Lot 24, Plan 35, being vacant lands on Simcoe Street in Sturgeon Falls. And whereas Council has determined the lands are not required for municipal purposes, be it resolved lands described as part of Block 24, Plan 35, being PIN number 49078 0098B and are hereby declared surplus to the needs of the West Nipissing municipality.
Questions or comments? All in favor? It's carried.
It is moved by Councillor Pellerin and seconded by Councillor Rivard. Whereas at its meeting of June the 2nd, 2026, Council for the Municipality of West Nipissing discussed the proposed disposition of municipally owned lands described as part of Lot 9, Concession 2, parcel 17778 in the township of Springer, being vacant lands located on Seabold Road in Cache Bay. And whereas council has determined that the lands are not required for municipal purposes, we've resolved that the lands described as part of Lot 9, Concession 2, parcel 17778 in Springer, being vacant lands located on Seabold Road in Cache Bay, being PIN number 490750136, are hereby declared surplus to the needs of the West Nipissing municipality.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Can I just make a note about the correspondence from the property owners on pages when we discuss what we're gonna do with them?
We already discussed what we're gonna do.
I know, but when we just,
It was, we already discussed, these are going to tender.
we didn't get it. Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. It is moved by Councillor Rivard and seconded by Councillor Pellerin. Be it resolved that Council for the West Nipissing Municipality supports the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities resolution respecting the establishment of a Northern Ontario policing grant attached here too. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to FNUM and the appropriate provincial ministries.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Okay, and we are at I will read the resolution and then I will quickly just explain the voting process. It is moved by Councillor Pellerin and seconded by Councillor Rivard. Be it resolved that the following individuals be appointed to the Licensing Committee of Adjustment for the remainder of the 2026 term. And for the record, I will read the names of the individuals who have submitted their name for this is to fill 2 vacant positions on the Licensing Committee of Adjustment. The following individuals have submitted their names in alphabetical order: Madeleine Baudry, Brian Claude, Paul Cote, René Dubuc, Jason Farragon, Stéphane Gagnon, and Yvan Primo. So the ballots on your desk in front of you, I would ask that you vote for 2 of the members on there. I will collect the ballots, do a quick tally, and see if we need to do a second vote. Give everybody a minute.
Maybe you can have Steph collect the ballots.
Do that.
You don't have to get up.
I'll go down.
Yes. Oh,
Just give me a second, please.
Like that you.
Council people voted by text and I filled it out by paper while Madam Clerk watched me.
Good odds, Nick. See?
Okay, so we have, oh, I know I missed one. No, see what happens here. Okay, so we have 3 persons who received 5 votes each. That would be Madeleine Baudry, Brian Cotte, and Jason Farragon. So you have a second ballot on your desk. Of those 3 persons, with 2 names, please.
Can you repeat them?
Yes, so Madeleine Baudry, Brian Cotte, Paul Cote, René Dubuc, Jason Farragon. Oh, sorry, Madeleine Baudry, Brian Cotte, and Jason Farragon are your 3 candidates in the runoff. I've been listening too much at my CSP.
So, it was the same.
What?
Hey.
You're getting meaner the whole late.
You going with that?
Okay.
Maybe if I got 6 votes, you just, just change the.
Just saw a picture. Space.
This is 2.
Yeah, 2 of them.
You may want to.
The horses.
Okay, so we have successful are Brian Torre with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 votes, and Madeline Beaudry with 6. So be it resolved that the following individuals.
Oh,
Did I miss something?
Just, can we have the full count of the first ballot?
Of the first ballot? Sure.
Instead of just the three-way tie?
You want the first,
Count.
the full count? Okay. On the first ballot, the vote was for Madeline Beaudry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For Brian Cotte, 5. For Paul Cote, 2. For Jason Farragon, 5. For Ivan Primo, 1. Okay. Oh, I need that back. So, we'll get Cotte and Beaudry. Cotte and Beaudry. So that Madeline Beaudry and Brian Cotte be appointed to the West Nipissing Committee of Adjustment for the remainder of the 2022-2026 term.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay,
if I may ask, who else sits on the committee?
myself, Rob, and Roger Gami.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I'm gonna.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, the item from, we're almost there, folks. Item from the addendum.
It is moved by Councillor Rivard and seconded by Councillor Ganji. Be it resolved, Mayor and the Administrative Officer be authorized. With Arsenault and file card letter.
Okay, all in favor? Or sorry, questions and comments, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, only briefly, we are heading into graduation season, the first of our primary school graduations that take place later this week. And I know myself and the members of council will be busy attending what we can. Apologies in advance to both École Resurrection and École Quistlat, whose graduations are taking place during our special council meeting on July 23rd. Special council meeting for July 23rd will take place at Marcel Noel Hall, 5 to 6 p.m. for an open house and the public. What did I say?
July.
June. Come in June, do not come in July, June 23rd. And then additionally, just one more mention, and I will see Councillor Nicol there, I'm sure, is the first field farmers market of the season is happening Saturday, 10 to 3 p.m. And with that, let's do the last couple.
It is moved by Conley and seconded by Councillor Rivard. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-49 being a bylaw of the West Nipissing Municipality, confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on June the 16th, 2026, shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Questions or comments? All in favor? There
It is moved by Councillor Rivard and seconded by Councillor Ganji. Be it resolved that council and committee of the whole meeting held on June the 16th, 2026 be adjourned.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you, everybody, for staying late and getting that done. And we'll see you next Tuesday.